Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back to talk about Supernatural, episode 1413, titled Lebanon, which premiered Thursday, February 7th, 2019 on the CW. This is the 300th episode, guys, so I'm hugely excited to talk about this. However, I am recording on February 9th, so it's been a good 2 days since the episode. The reason for that is I did record a live reaction to the video. I did go through the whole process of editing, putting my other stuff into the video, uploading it onto YouTube, only for it to be blocked less than 5 minutes after it's been uploaded. So I'm all very annoyed by that, but that's the reason why you get me recording it 2 days later. It took me a very long time trying to get the damn thing to work on my computer, first off. Anyways, huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first, and then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. I advise having tissues close by. Otherwise, video reminders are up on screen. Take a moment to remind yourselves, although hugely disclaimer, guys, this is solely just to share my thoughts and the reasons why I love this show. It's been going on 14 years, 300 episodes, guys, and it still keeps getting better and better. This episode particularly, it really reminds you of where things started. So try to do this in 15 minutes, mainly because I kind of already talked about it in the live reaction, and it just doesn't seem, yeah. Anyways, I'm going to start the clock. With what happened in this episode. So timeline-wise, we get a specific date. It is February 7th, 2019. It's the actual day in the episode because it's skip day as well. If you remember, episode 1409 and 10 dealt with over Christmas, so December 24th, December 25th. So that's like a huge jump between the episodes. Otherwise, 11 and 12 kind of took place in January to begin with. So there's that. Huge episode reminder is the fact that this is the 300th episode. Another thing is the fact that the format of the episode is very similar to Scooby Natural in the sense that we start the episode right into a hunt. It's not usually we see the victims and what happens to them. We see Sam and Dean already in the midst of the hunt. They're like in the fray of it all. Like the final showdown type of thing. So that's kind of what really stood out to me, was the similarity there. So episode breakdown, guys, I'm not really going to go too much into it though, but I did place 3 different key markers, I guess you could say. The first one being recovering occult objects, second one being the wishing pearl, third one being timeline changes. So with the first storyline, this is the hunt that we dive right into when the episode starts. This deals with a pawn shop owner pretty much killing one of the hunter buddies that the brothers have, and he has all these occult objects. Sam and Dean go and find him. They try to retrieve these objects back, and it gets a little bloody. And shortly after this, some teenagers in Lebanon end up getting their hands on these objects when one of them steals the Impala. And that leads to another haunting case in itself. So there's that. Second storyline, though, we get the wishing pearl. And this is an item that was part of the occult objects. And the wishing pearl is able to grant the wisher's greatest heart's desire, or the deepest heart's desire, but it needs to be destroyed in order to reverse their wish. So in this case, Dean tries to do it so that he could use it to get Michael out of his head, but instead, John is brought back to the present day, but he's been taken out of 2003, so 2 years before the series even picked up. So to John, Sam is still away in Stanford. So there's that. It must have been like it's like really recent for Sam to have left, because their fight was like really clear in John's mind. So there's that. Now, because John is taken out of 2003, this leads to storyline number 3 with timeline changes. Now we see Castiel, the version of him before he met the Winchesters, and Zachariah coming down to Earth to try to figure out what changed the timeline. They encounter the Winchesters in Lebanon, and they find out that they're the cause behind it. And it's because John disappeared in 2003. And the angels didn't even seem to know why until they came to Lebanon in 2019. So there's that. Last scene of the episode shows John back in 2003, just waking up from what he believes to be a perfect dream, which we know was his trip to 2019. And he's on the phone with Dean telling him that he'll meet up with him later. So there's that. So tidbit-wise, we get the 3 teenagers, Elliot, Max, and Stacy. They're the ones that part of the whole, they get exposed to the supernatural with the whole killer clown ghost thing. I'm wondering, since they are in Lebanon and they know the secret, I'm wondering if they're going to be shown again when we are featured a little bit more in Lebanon. So there's that. We also meet Jackson, the bartender, who Dean knows on a first name basis. And then there's Martha, the mail woman, who Dean also seems to know details about, to at least form a familiar bond between her. So there's those people we've met in Lebanon. We also have Zachariah saying that Lebanon has always been like a fuzzy spot for the angels, and I'm wondering if that's due to the influence that the Men of Letters, especially the bunker, has, and how like their wardings and stuff like that. Maybe that's why. So there's that. Also, in Lebanon, the brothers go by Campbell instead of Winchester. So that's a little throwback there. End Tally, Death Tally, we do see only one death, and that is in, I'm not going to count the ghost, but that is in the form of Zachariah, and he's killed by Sam. So both brothers have killed Zachariah in their time. So there's that. So moving on to most shocking moment of the episode, I will say that if the return of John Winchester would have been the most shocking moment if you were able to avoid all spoilers about the 300th episode. I definitely was not able to, so it wasn't a surprise where he came back. Also, though, with the episode credits, he's not credited until the very end. So it's like, if you truly did avoid spoilers and look, even if you were able to look at those star credits in the beginning, you still wouldn't have known John was coming back until he showed up on screen. So that would have been the most shocking for people who like live under a rock when it comes to spoilers. But because I did know John was coming back, the shocking moment for me was the fact that he was from 2003. I thought it was going to be a Mary situation where he came back from the dead and he knew everything up to his point of death, right? So like how Mary came back. But it's understandable why they only did the timeline version of having him plucked from it, because then that would mean they would have to send him back. If it was a resurrection thing like Mary, then that would mean that John could stay longer than one episode. So I understand why one way, and that's why it's a shocker for me. So moving on to top 3 favorite moments. Technically, it's all one big favorite moment, but I guess it is subsection into 3, and that is John Winchester's return. Already, it's been 12 years in the making, pretty much. So he was last seen in the season 2 finale. So just seeing him back was fantastic. And my 3 different favorites was the fact that we get John having a moment with Sam, we get him having a moment with Dean, and we get him having a moment with Mary. It's very brief with Mary, but it's mostly the little things that they do, the reactions to each other. So I'll start with them first. With Mary and John, his reaction to just hearing her voice, immediately he recognized it. He was starting to well up, and just the reaction to it was just so perfect. I mean, for them, how old's Sam now? Well, I guess, for John at that point, he would have been without Mary for 18 years. For Mary, well, I guess for her, it would seem like it hasn't been long, but for Mary, I guess it's 30 plus years because of Sam. So it was definitely a reunion they were waiting for, and I just love how it was done. His goodbye speech to her really welled me up. You could really see that when the heaven said and Cupid said that they were meant to be together, soulmates and stuff, you could really see it between them. And it truly makes a difference, because we've seen them together as their younger versions of themselves in season 4 and season 5. But to see them actually, I mean, John and Mary, as adults, we haven't seen them together since the pilot episode, since that flashback of 22 years ago. So for Samantha and Jeff, this is the only other episode they've actually shared a scene, scenes with. So you could really see the emotion. I really appreciate that. Now with Sam and Dean. Let's go with Sam because he has his first. But Sam really has a moment with John to really talk to him about how he always regrets that he never actually got to say goodbye to John because he just dropped dead on the hospital floor. And you could just see the emotion there. For Sam, it was just, you could see that he's trying to keep it together while he says his piece, while he was resistant at first to even bring it all up. And it was just really great to see the extent that he was trying to keep things calm, because they're always butting heads with each other, right? So I really like that they were able to talk things out calmly and everything like that, and just have John really understand the impact of the childhood that Sam had to go through. And it's just the emotion, the performance between Jared and Jeff, and that was just truly phenomenal. It's just like another favorite there. And lastly, with Dean and John, it was Dean's deepest desire to have his family reunited back together again. So first off, to see the joy he had at the idea of his father being back, that was just something there. And then to also have the moment where Dean had to tell John that, well, if you don't go back, timeline changes, Mary disappears. And just to have John be able to tell Dean that he was proud of him, and just like all the hopes he had for Dean, hoping he'd settle down and have a somewhat normal life away from the hunting and stuff like that. And Dean just telling him, well, I have a family. I've found what I could with the situation. It was just really great for them to have that moment. And it's just like the goodbyes afterward. I mean, everyone every one member of the Winchester family did a phenomenal job in portraying the emotion it was in seeing one of them have to go. I mean, it was bittersweet, the fact that they got this extra day with John, but then it means that they had to leave. He had to leave them again. So it did bring me to tears many times before whenever these 3 scenes were happening, and I wish I could share it with you guys, but copyright won't let me. Don't know why, but there's that. And I'll come to another favorite that I had was with Sam and Dean. They were both washing dishes together, and they were talking about how, like, the possibility of what if John went back with his memories, if things would have been different, if things could have changed. And then Dean saying, well, if it did, then that would mean that go through the very beginning, change everything for them, and have it so that they're not saving the world. But then he's like, well, what does that mean for us? What does that mean for who we become? And Dean tells Sam that he's fine, he's accepted, and he's okay with who he is. Same thing with him being accepting and okay with who Sam has become, and he's completely fine with that. Their lives are their lives. And I just thought that was a phenomenal speech there. So there is that as well. But moving on to top 3 peeved moments, I really don't have any peeves. I absolutely love this episode. The only peeve that I really would say, but I know that it's not possible, is that I wish that John was able to see more of Sam and Dean's family. I know that it was supposed to be focused mainly on Sam, Dean, and Mary reuniting with John, but it would have been cool if John was able to see the bunker full with hunters, to see his sons being the leaders that they are, seeing the people they've surrounded themselves with. I would have been loved it if John got to meet Jody, Donna, if they got to meet Jack, if they got to meet Castiel, and all a bunch, Garth even. It would have been great for John to meet all these key people, or key persons, I don't know which way it is, to see these people and how they have come to be a part of his son's makeshift family. So it's just, even alternate Bobby would have been great. A little bit weird since he actually had a dynamic with Bobby, and this one he doesn't know. But that's the only piece. But I can understand why that's not possible, because you want it to solely focus on the family. But I guess that's a fan fiction type of day, just to expand on it. Someone please write it, please. I'd so read it. But moving on to what moment will I remember most if I look back on this episode, it's a 300th episode. There's nothing more I can say about that unless you want to put the John's return. That's like a huge thing right there. But moving on to random questions, pretty much it's all my questions are based on what does they have to do with John. So the first one is, did they tell John about the alternate worlds? So that's one there. Another one is, did they tell John about Mary being a hunter? So that's another there. And all this stuff, and maybe all the stuff that they learned about John, about Mary during the 14 years. Also, I mean, they did bring up Henry Winchester, so I'm wondering if they went a little bit more into that for John to know, because he always thought that his father had abandoned him when in reality he traveled to the future and only died there. So there's that. Also, another one is that will John remember his experience in 2019 later on? I mean, he believes that it's just a dream, but I'm wondering if, like, after he dies and I'm assuming he goes to heaven eventually, would that be something he realizes that, oh, this actually happened? Or is that going to be his perfect memory that he relives in heaven? So that's another thing there. Last question is, why was Zachariah brought back to fix the timeline? I did go a little bit more into my live reaction video, so I'll find that and you have a look at it right here. My question though, if Zachariah and Castiel were coming down to Earth for the first time because there was a timeline disturbance, then I don't get how Zachariah is the one monitoring the disturbance when he's already dead in the original timeline. I mean, as you remember, I think there's less than 10 angels left in heaven. So if anything, I thought it would be one of those 10 that were to come in and recall that there's a disturbance in the timeline type thing, and they're trying to rectify that change. So I'm kind of surprised as to why an already dead angel is the one looking into the changes. So that's something there. It's also a little surprising, if they have such huge plans for the Winchesters, how could they not realize, or how could they not notice that that one point in time was altered to another point in time? Like,
like, they knew to go to Lebanon. They knew to go Lebanon 2019 of the timeline to find the source of the disturbance, yet they couldn't pinpoint what specifically was the reason. And it was only then until they realized, Winchesters, you're together, we had plans for you, things started changing once your father disappeared, then oh, click, what did you guys do, type of thing. So that's the only concern I really have.
All right. And if anything, I'm going to check the live reaction video and see if I had any more questions along the way. So if so, they will be showing now.
I am loving the fact that Sam and Dean are fully aware of what a time paradox is and what they cannot do with time, and how they need to put things back in place. Plus, it's very different to see the fact that if John went missing, then Dean still was hunting, but Sam was never brought into it. So he continued at Stanford. He still went to law school. He has his own law firm, apparently. It was just, that's so crazy. And then, yeah. Internet famous. I thought it was something else, but it's just that him having a law firm type thing. So yeah, definitely something there. I wonder if he is gonna have. So, I guess it's John isn't like Mary, essentially, where remembers everything up to their death, and then you're being brought back resurrection style. He's actually been taken from the timeline. I wonder why 2003 though. Why that particular point in time? Why not like moments before his death or something, or I don't know, or why not bring him back from the dead, right? Like what happened with Mary. Could the Pearl even do that? And that's why it went through the whole timeline displacement thing. I don't know. Well, I guess now all members of the Winchester family have time traveled. We had Henry traveling to the future. We have John traveling to the future to meet his sons again. Same with Anne back in time as well. So that is something as well. And it started. That was so good. So many fan fiction ideas there. What if he did go back remembering everything? What if he was able to stay? What if he, instead of coming out of the timeline, he came back the same way Mary did? And then, I don't know. I will say this, though. If the Pearl had done what they originally intended it for do, which was to have Dean's wish to get Michael out of his head, if that ever came true, then they would have to guard that Pearl with their life to make sure that it wouldn't be smashed. Otherwise, the wish to get Michael out of Dean's head would have been reverted back to the way it was instead of what the wish produced. So I guess that's one thing there. I mean, unless they truly protected the Pearl, but things do get broken eventually, right, for materials and stuff. So that's something, or even a warded box maybe, I don't know. But yeah, this was sad. So great to see him again. But yeah.
Alright, so let's get to predictions. Based off the promo for 1414, episode returns March 7th, so that's a month hiatus. I mean, I'm disappointed in that. But we see Jack going down a dark path that has him using his soul-generated power. We see Rowena returning, and we also see Jack going against Rowena, and it kind of looked like he was killing her. So, I don't know what that's all about, even though we know that Rowena's death book states that it's Sam that kills her. So, don't know what's going on there. But there is no synopsis for the episode up just yet, since it is a month away. But that is pretty much it, guys. So what do you guys think of the 300th episode? What do you guys like about it? What do you think will happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your own thoughts, theories, and predictions, but what you think will happen next. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I read blog promos, web clips, quotes, gist, synopses, news, all that good stuff, all found in one place. So check that out. I'm going to try to be more up to date on it, especially in this month hiatus. So please be patient with me. Also, WordPress account, link for that is down below. Everything I post online is connected to WordPress. A little more organized, a little more detailed, but still a work in progress. I have to update everything soon, so keep that in mind as well. Also, if you want a recap of the episode, a jot-noted version of it, check out the live journal entry link down below. It's pretty much, I had to write this up when I was watching it the second time around, since I recorded my live reaction during the first time of watching the episode. So this one's going to include jot-noted summaries of the ordering of things, maybe some questions I completely didn't think of the first time around, some comments for sure in there. But if you need something to keep things in order for you, check that out. It does help me, so I hope it helps you. But that is pretty much it. We have 7 episodes left of the season, so thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you come back in a month to see what I have to say about the next episode. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you a great day, great week wherever you are, and I have 10 seconds left on the clock. I did it. Bye, guys.